Superheroes don't exist in real life, but when you stop and think about it, professional athletes are just about as close as we're going to get to them. And in these tense situations when all hell broke loose, there just so happened to be an elite mixed martial artist fighter on hand to offer assistance, which is nearly as good as having a superhero, I guess. So without further ado, here are 10 times MMA fighters save people in real life. Ronaldo Jacare Souza. To kick things off, we have a suitably crazy entry featuring the all-around MMA bad boy that is Platinum Mike Perry. So here's the story. Perry, being the crazy person he is, was attempting to strengthen his neck against choke attempts by attacking a resistance band to pull-up bar. As he himself put it, he would then wrap the band around his neck and then lead into it to stimulate a choke attempt. Yep, this is something that actually happened. What he didn't anticipate, however, is that he would lose consciousness in the process and it would be risk of permanent brain damage or even death if things went badly. As it turns out, they did go very, very badly. Thankfully, the legendary BJJ specialist Ronaldo Souza noticed the unconscious UFC welterweight hanging lifelessly and immediately ran over to free him. Yes, this was next level stupid from Mike Perry, but all in all, Jacare's quick thinking and alertness ended up saving his life. It wasn't the first stupid thing that the Platinum has done in his career, and it most certainly won't be the last. Fabricio Werdum. The legendary former UFC heavyweight Fabricio Werdum left his mark on mixed martial arts thanks to his insane submission skills and knack for beating some of the greatest heavyweights of all time. But even after a career as spectacular as his, we have no doubt that one of his proudest moments actually came outside of the cage. During a day trip to the beach with his family, Werdum suddenly noticed that there was a pair of people far out in the water seemingly caught in a panic. With just one lifeguard on duty, the UFC champion and this lifeguard worked together to bring the pair of teenagers to safety. Not only has Werdum beaten the likes of Fedor Emelianenko, Cain Velasquez, and Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, but he also is a certified hero, and according to the Brazilian, he never once felt his heart beat faster than he did on that day. That tells you just about everything you need to know. Ryan Hall. Long before Ryan Hall was known for his odd BJJ-centric style of fighting within the UFC, he was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu innovator who had yet to fully make the transition to MMA. But during that time, Hall went viral unexpectedly after dealing with a very drunk aggressor at a restaurant a few years back. The dude in question was pretty clearly looking for a fight, getting right up into Hall's face as he tried to enjoy his meal with some friends. The drunkard even pushed over another tenant who was trying to break them up. Seeing this, Hall decided to act, shooting in for a takedown before easily moving into mount. From there, the situation was pretty much resolved as Hall's wife quickly let everyone know that the BJJ black belt knew exactly what he was doing. And sure enough, Hall was able to defuse the tension in the room rapidly, allowing the authorities to arrive and take the man in question away. Prior to him winning the Ultimate Fighter, Hall had already worked up a reputation for himself, and despite losing to Ilia Topuria by way of brutal knockout, his rebound win over Derek Minner was proof that he's still among the very best in the world. Ricky Lundell. Ricky Lundell is not a name that most of you will be familiar with, but his Brazilian jiu-jitsu whiz managed to earn national headlines when he saved a man's life by administering CPR after the dude had collapsed in the street. Lundell wasn't even there when it happened, but when a distressed citizen alerted the room that he was in an emergency outside, Lundell quickly acted, relying on his military training and extensive competitive background to keep his composure. Immediately, he noticed that none of the people around him were attempting to do anything. Instead, they just stood there totally clueless. In that moment, he knew that he would have to be the one to take initiative, and despite using CPR with no success at first, he was urged to continue, and eventually out of nowhere he made a breakthrough. And at that moment, just in time, an ambulance arrived and took the man away. Lundell proved himself to be a hero on that day, saving the man's life in what was looking to be a certain fatal outcome. Brendan Schaub. Look, Brendan Schaub is far from the most popular man in mixed martial arts. In fact, it's not a stretch to say that he's widely ridiculed more than any fighter in the game past to present. But a few years ago, Schaub was driving around Los Angeles and came across a massive multi-vehicle collision. All of a sudden, he noticed that a large truck was leaking gasoline and it was flowing in the direction of a totaled SUV. In a shocking turn of events, he also noticed there were children inside the car, unable to get them out due to the damage the vehicle had taken. Thinking fast, Brendan ran towards the trapped kids and managed to get them out of the car and to safety with the help of another onlooker. As it turned out, the crash had been caused intentionally by the children's father, and unfortunately, their mother had also perished. Schaub did his best to keep in contact with the family, offering assistance wherever possible. Remember, if you're enjoying our content and want to see more like this, hit that subscribe button before giving us your thoughts in the comment section below. Roger Huerta. Roger's an undeniable icon of lightweight MMA, a world-class talent in his heyday that fought some of the best fighters of his era, before a very noticeable drop-off in form. But out of all the men he defeated in his prime, none were bigger than the former Texas Longhorns linebacker Rashad Babino, who had the misfortune of running into Huerta on the streets. According to the official story, Huerta noticed Babino punching a woman outside of a Texas nightclub and immediately took action, knocking the much larger man to the ground before finishing him with a series of soccer kicks. As you might expect, the public's reaction to the video, which was uploaded by TMZ, was pretty positive in relation to Rogers' intervention. Babino committed the cardinal sin of striking a woman, and as it happened, he could not have timed it any worse, given that there was a world-renowned MMA fighter standing close by. In the end, he seemed to get what he deserved, and Huerta was widely recognized as a hero for his actions. Things are about to get crazy this weekend in London. Last time Kamaru and Leon Edwards faced off, everyone thought Kamaru had the win locked in until Leon shocked the world with a head kick that changed everything in the 5th round. In celebration of this weekend's rematch, DraftKings Sportsbook is offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after they place their first $5 wager. That's right, new customers that bet just $5 on any wager for the night will instantly receive $200 in bonus bets. If you're wondering what you can do with the bonus bets, try out some same fight parlays, where you can combine multiple bets on the same fight into one parlay for a shot at even more action. If mobile sports betting isn't available in your state yet, don't worry, you can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy, where they offer cash prize contests for nearly every sport. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers who use promo code WATCHMMA and bet $5 will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code WATCHMMA only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate and her ex-boyfriend Brian Caraway were involved in a truly terrifying turn of events during a snorkeling trip back in 2014. Everything appeared to be going to plan for the pair before they noticed the cry of distress from Caraway's father. After running as fast as they could, they found Brian's mother unconscious, with people around her trying to resuscitate her. Knowing that she was asthmatic, Tate tried to administer an inhaler but wasn't able to. In a crazy piece of improv, she herself took several puffs of the inhaler and proceeded to give Caraway's mother mouth-to-mouth, saving her life by breathing the medicine directly into her lungs. Thankfully, this worked an absolute treat, and Caraway's mother was saved from any permanent brain damage in the process. A scary moment indeed, but some incredibly quick thinking on the spot from the former UFC and Strikeforce bantamweight queen. Jon Jones. All of these fighters we've mentioned deserve a boatload of credit for their bravery, but as far as Jon Jones is concerned, despite all that we now know to be true about him and his character, this story is pretty wild. On the very same day that he became the youngest champion in the UFC history by thoroughly dominating and defeating Shogun to win the light heavyweight belt, Jones and his coaches witnessed a robbery in Spanish community just a few hours prior to his octagon walk. After meeting a distressed woman who said that she had just been robbed, Jon acted on instinct, running after the perpetrator before catching him and pinning him on the ground. To do this under any circumstance would be quite brave, but to risk your health on the biggest day of your life, yeah, say what you want about Jon Jones, but this was one hell of a badass move on his part. Thankfully, nothing went wrong from there onwards, and the woman in question was reunited with their stolen goods. Jones went on to become the UFC champion, and the rest, as they say, is history.
He's like, well, I'm just letting you know, a lot of people get mugged here. Just as he said that, I turned to pull off my seatbelt, and the guy, I see an old Spanish couple like screaming, and they're like running. They look like they're out of breath big time. And I'm like, dude, they just got mugged. And he's like, no. And I'm like, maybe not, I'm tripping. You just put that in my mind. So Mike Winguchan hops out of the car and he's like, you guys okay? And then she's like, you know, the guy he just broke my window open and he took all my stuff and he's running. And so I'm like, what? And I'm like, you know Spanish? All right, so I'm like, let me do something, right? So I grabbed the guy's feet and then I put him in this move because I went to college for criminal justice and I had a class defensive tactics.
Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis was already a major fan favorite by the time Hurricane Harvey came to his home state of Texas. But when his home was ravaged by a series of flash floods, the Black Beast made the national news when he was seen helping locals in need by driving through the floods in his massive truck. His action was forced when the local authorities made it clear that they only had the resources to respond to very serious life or death situations. So the UFC heavyweight took it upon himself to be the hero the town needed, spending hours upon hours helping people. The story received extra attention due to the footage of Lewis helping a family whose car was abandoned with a Confederate flag. When asked about this, Derek pretty bluntly said that it made no difference to him. You want to talk about MMA superheroes? Well, Derek Lewis is just about as close to the real thing as you're going to get. Kevin Holland. And finally, we come to a man who has quite an extensive back catalog of superhero-like actions outside the cage. Kevin Holland deserves more than one entry on this list for his accomplishments over the years, but for this video, we're going to focus on the time that he stopped a liquor store robbery that sprung up unexpectedly during a visit to a restaurant. After noticing a man running out of the liquor store hastily, Holland stopped enjoying his meal and gave chase, eventually catching up to the man in question and holding him for authorities. In his own words, he challenged his uncle to race to see who could catch the guy first, and of course, being the athlete that he is, the robber never stood a chance. As you might expect, this caused yet another outpouring of media attention for the Trailblazer, with many fans calling him a bona fide superhero. And if we're being totally honest, we can't really argue with his track record.
My coach had just came out of the liquor store from getting some water out of there, and some guy just comes sprinting out. So the owner comes sprinting out behind him. I look at my uncle and I'm like, me and my uncle's a year younger than me.
Okay.
To let you know. So I go, you want to race? He goes, yeah. So I throw my stuff at him to slow him down because he's way faster than me. And I start sprinting after the guy. So then he starts sprinting after the guy, and I managed to catch him first. So I won the race. So I was just happy to win the race.
Okay, nice. Yeah. But you're lucky your legs did hold up for the fight.
Yeah, because that was a hell of a run. I ain't gonna lie to you.
And that'll just about do it for this video. But which one of these fighters do you think is the biggest hero of all of them? Remember, if you're enjoying our content here at Watch MMA, let us know in the comment section below before leaving a like and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our next videos. Thanks for watching.